Hey everyone, surprise, surprise. Welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed, the MCU AF edition. And, if you're a boomer or something and you don't know what the AF means, you'll figure it out. But we did kind of tease this that we were going to be doing something like this, and we'll probably be doing a lot more of these going into the future. Jenny is here with me, of course. If you're watching the live stream, you can see her on camera there. Hi, Jenny.
Morning, sunshine.
It's afternoon now. We're
It is.
used because you're used to doing this in the morning. So we do the
Right, and it feels like morning for me right now.
So we do the radio show, of course, every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern from the studios of WMNH 95.3 in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. And that continues. But we've only done a couple of the online only version of the show. I did one with Eric Pilcher and I did one with Gracie Gatto, but we're going to be doing more of these because there's a lot to talk about that just does not fit in to the radio version of the show in terms of the format, which has become very music industry centric, and we do a lot of interviews with artists and so forth. So, and that's going to continue, but we do want to be creating additional content. We've got a couple of other podcasts going, I think later today at some point. I'm just waiting for him to tell me a time. We have the Hanging Left podcast with Todd Ayer. And I think tonight, for those of you who are enjoying this live, I can tell you that tonight after night 2 of SummerSlam, I believe Eric Pilcher and I are going to do a live stream of Tough Bumps, kind of reviewing SummerSlam and giving our thoughts. But this is something that like I said, we'll probably doing more of these, not on a set schedule. The radio show's on a set schedule, but I'm calling this, like I said, MCU AF because the podcast version is, of course, strictly online, so it's completely uncensored, unfiltered, and truly unleashed, and we can talk about anything we want to. Let me get the
Sorry.
Everything okay there?
Prince is, of course, going, wait a minute.
Yes.
What are you paying attention to?
So obviously more people will be getting this online. So this will be in the podcast feed. I should mention that too. So if you're already subscribed to Matt Connarton Unleashed on your podcast platform of choice. Or, of course, you can go to mattconnerton.com for all the podcasts. You'll be able to get this there. It'll be in the same feed. So you don't have to subscribe to anything else to get the MCU AF version of the show. It will be just in the regular podcast feed that you're already subscribed to if you are subscribed. So just so you're aware. So this, of course, like I said, most people will get the podcast version of the show. But if you do happen to be streaming this live, welcome. And you are invited to participate in the live chat. And we might even put your chat comments on the screen. So, and we're streaming this out to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, even, believe it or not, because why not? And let's see. So yesterday, Jenny, you had a pretty interesting day. Do you want to tell us about what you did yesterday and then some of the developments that came out of that?
Yesterday was a planned protest, Rage Against the Regime, planned by 5051 and attended by many groups and many individuals all across the country. And we had our own here, right in the capital of Concord. Like right after we arrived and just barely started getting things out to set up, and it was a permanent event, incidentally. Mm-hmm. Somebody said to me, "There's Nazis." And I'm like, what? And I turn around and I see this line of individuals in black pants, red shirts, black masks, completely covered because they're cowards. A large Nazi flag, Nazi regalia, bullhorn, yeah, that really caught me off guard. That was not what I expected to see at the Concord, New Hampshire Capitol. It just, it blew me away, to be honest with you. It took a lot of us aback in the moment.
Yeah, I can just tell you my initial reaction when I saw this online, because I was not with you at the event, I had the radio show in the morning and so forth. But my initial reaction was I was not surprised by this at all. The political climate that we live in, it honestly, nothing shocks me anymore. And, let's be honest, there are a lot of people these days who think it's, kind of cool to be racist. Racism is kind of in fashion again in a way that I think it hasn't been in a long time. So none of this surprised me at all, especially when, I was in Concord one day. What was it for? I was in downtown Concord. This was probably a couple of years ago. That's right. And there was an event going on at a bookstore in downtown Concord, and there were some, I don't know if they were protesting books, because these people don't read it other than Mein Kampf, of course. But yeah, there were some people in masks. I don't think they had a swastika flag or
So
anything that gave away
actually,
that they were Nazis, but they were there protesting, probably
so same
reading and
folks,
education.
same folks. They're
It was
known
the same
as same
people.
folks. They're
Okay.
known as Blood Tribe. They
Okay.
are a white nationalist organization. They love Hitler. And trust me, I'm not making that up. I'm standing there watching them literally doing the Nazi salute and yelling out Hitler's name while they're
Yep.
doing it.
They
Exactly.
were in the Sieg
Exactly.
Heil. Yeah.
Exactly. And to say I'm not surprised about racism today, sure, I'll agree there. However, I was very shocked to be face to face with these people,
Yeah.
and personally, given my own race, that's kind of alarming to be face to face with people that just want to annihilate your existence. So it was very different than my standard. I've been around counter protesters before and whatnot.
Sure.
And when you have a planned protest, that's possible. That's why you get your permit and make sure that you've got the right to be there and so forth. Because unlike some, we actually play by the rules and follow the law. So to be face to face with Nazis, though, that was different. That
Yeah.
felt different. And yeah. How do I even word this? I actually had an image in the back of my mind of my family that is on the wall of my home who were murdered and don't exist. And only two of the people in the portrait survived. That immediately came into my mind. And at the same time, it was concern for people around me because there were parents there with kiddos.
Yeah.
And there was one guy near me with a kiddo and he didn't see what was going on. And I looked over to him and I said, hey, just this is what's going on. You might want to just get out of this area. The guy kind of looked, and the guy kind of, one of the, I'm like, what do you mean? You said,
well, I received a message from you that said you might not want to bring your kiddo here, and I remember wondering if that was intended for somebody else.
It was.
Because I obviously don't have children.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I know, right? Because I had texted you, there's Nazis at the Capitol.
Yeah.
And I had some people like, you shouldn't call people Nazis. No, geez, these are Nazis. These are actually real deal Nazis. If you look up Blood Tribe online, these white nationalists very openly, blatantly utilize the swastika, profess, to their love for Hitler with their saluting and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
The whole nine. Yeah.
They're all.
And their leader, if I'm not mistaken, has a bolt, or the lightning bolt or whatever it is, tattooed on the side of his face.
Yeah.
He's bald. He was actually here in Concord. Not only was he spotted, he was photographed by one of the photographers. And their intention was really to try and intimidate people and try to sow fear. And they failed miserably, because immediately what we did was not engage them. One of our peeps got out their phone and pulled out some choice music and put it up to our bullhorn. And then I actually have my own amplifier with me. So I added mine to the mix to try and bolster the mix. And we just drowned them out. Literally, we're just drowning them out. So yeah, they were calling blood. They say really hateful things. These people are true white supremacists to the absolute degree of definition.
Right. Now, I have something to get off my chest about, and I kind of woke up this morning with this thought in my head. And this isn't directed at anybody specific or, but I have to say this. So inevitably when you post, and we'll probably play the videos, there's a couple of videos that we'll talk about in a minute that we'll play. And of course, for audio only listeners, we'll describe what's happening in the videos. But one of them is self-explanatory. But so inevitably, and it's so predictable, especially in these times, when you start posting this stuff, about, there's Nazis here, there's video, and you put up videos and everything, there's this reflexive reaction among some people who will then attack you for posting something about, there's Nazis here. And immediately they go to, well, they have a First Amendment right to be there and do this. But here's the thing about that. So the people who do that kind of thing, they see something like this and they can't wait to defend the Nazis. They're so excited to just jump in there and say, well, they have a First Amendment right to be there. They never complete the loop. And here's what I mean by that. And this is the thought that I woke up with today. How come the people who do that? Because they're right. They're correct to point out, yes, sure, they do have a First Amendment right. You have a First Amendment right to do whatever you want. You have a First Amendment right to go out and talk about how much you hate brown people or how much you love the N-word or whatever hateful shit you want to put out into the world. You have a right to do that. Absolutely, you have a First Amendment right. But why can't they ever say, because nobody ever says this part, when you post something like that, they never say, yeah, they have a First Amendment right to do that. And by the way, you have a First Amendment right to go on social media and condemn it. But they never do that. All they do, their automatic reflex is defend the Nazis, but they never complete the loop. They never say they have a right to do that. And by the way, you have a right to condemn them for doing that. And not only do I support their First Amendment right to do that, but I support your First Amendment right to say, hey, I think this is wrong. They always leave that other part out. And why is that? I would just ask the people who are so eager and so goddamn excited to get on social media and defend the Nazis. And then, of course, when you call them on it, they'll say, oh, I'm not defending what they're doing. I'm just defending their right. Okay, great. You're defending their right. By the way, why don't you defend my right to say these people are bags of shit and I hate them just as much as they hate me? Why don't you defend my right to condemn them? But no, all their anger is directed at you for posting something that Nazis are here. It's we can say it here. This isn't FM radio. That is fucked up. And every single person who sees this or hears this, who does that shit, where you see something like that and your immediate reflex response is, oh, I have to defend their First Amendment right. Fuck you. How about you defend our First Amendment rights to condemn what they're doing? But you'll never do that, will you? Oh, they
I got you. This is why. That's why we did it this way. That's why we're doing it this way, so we can speak freely without. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I have got to do better with camera, right? Okay, we'll work on that.
That's okay. Most people are just going to listen to the audio anyway.
True. The thing of it is I did respect their First Amendment right to free speech, and if you look at my history dating all the way back to the days when I was a state rep myself, I defended it. And I continue to do so. Yes, they have every right to stand there and do their Sig Heil thing. I draw a line when they hold up barriers and stuff, calling out, there'll be blood. I think it's crossing the line when you're starting to get into a little bit of violence. But that said, in this instance, they did not do that. In this instance, they lined up in front of our state house. They may or may not have been stepping on our permit, but they said their piece. We didn't engage them, but we had the right to our First Amendment, and we used music. We used speeches from Martin Luther King. We used things like that to try to drown out their hate. And that is our right to do. And that is our right to do. And when they did their formation and started doing these military removers, which incidentally, there was a really funny moment where they're trying to be these big badasses, not to scare you. And everybody turned to the left, and one dude totally went to the other direction and turned around the opposite way from the rest of them. So you little twerps can't even get that part right. And of course, they're all masks, right? And a lot of people were yelling at them, cowards, take off your mask.
Yep.
This is the way you want to be. Take off your mask. Show us who you are. Cowards.
Yeah.
And they weren't doing that. They actually started to march out. We did not engage. We did not stop them. We did not prohibit them from their free speech, but we had every right to shout them down.
Yes.
I had every right to call them Nazi scum, cowards, to call it whatever I damn well fucking felt like saying in that moment. I had every damn right to say, short of violence.
Yep.
We get in good trouble in my tribe. And my tribe is all inclusive. We get in good trouble in my tribe. And that's exactly how we handled that.
Yeah.
On the State House grounds.
Yeah.
Where we all were, where we were all, and you know what? And everybody kept setting up their stuff. They weren't stopping us. Kept setting up the tents and the tables. I say we, they. I mostly sat because I'm not very useful when it comes to setting up tents and things. I have other useful things about me. But it didn't stop us. It didn't stop people from New Hampshire from getting together and telling these out-of-staters to go fuck themselves. That we don't put up with that shit here.
Miriam is in the chat room, by the way. Or actually, well, she's not in the main chat room, so you probably can't see her. But I opened up the Facebook feed. I don't know why some comments show up in the actual chat room and some show up separately. But she did say in Concord they had swastika flags. That's repulsive, and she thanked you for the heads up. What's that?
She was there.
Yeah,
she was there, and she actually came to protest and actually to sit with me and to see everybody and interact with the community. And she protested right alongside of us. I did warn her of when I saw what was going on. I didn't want anybody to walk into it unprepared. But thankfully we didn't have to put up with them for too long.
Yeah.
They were short-lived, but then they proceeded to march down the street.
Mm-hmm. So we have let's see if I can pull this up here. Because we've got okay, let's do this one. This is the one where this is the video that you took. Let's see if I can get this to, there we go.
Yeah.
All right. So for people listening to the audio.
Nazis suck! Nazis suck!
We were drowning them out.
Nazis suck!
Yeah. Yep. So that's a video of them walking through and and of course they're all wearing masks.
Here they're trying to chant hate and like I said, our method of dealing with them was to try and drown them out.
Right.
And we successfully did that. I will say when they were at the steps, they were trying very desperately to be loud, but we were louder.
Now there's another, whoops, I don't want to play that one again. There's another.
These guys then they proceed out of the New Hampshire State House and they're in they're trying to act like military. They're walking by two.
I'm sorry, I paused.
The listeners, I just wanted to give them the view of what happened.
Yeah.
So those guys came, so they're marching out of the State House. They go through the arches. They take a right onto Main Street, and they proceed to start marching all the way down Main Street, down to where the co-op was.
Yeah.
And then there's a second video, which was not my video, taken by somebody else on a rooftop. And in broad daylight, in the middle of Concord, New Hampshire, they attacked somebody on the street. There's 4 of them attacking this one person. And one of them goes out of his way. You're going to see it in the video. He's going to go out of his way to get a good 5 or 6 whacks in with an item, with an object, a weapon, whatever he had in his hand, across the guy's back.
Yeah.
And the guy himself who's being attacked is in a protective pose with his, arms up, trying to protect his head and face and kind of tucked in. He's literally trying to protect himself from the 4 people that are around him. Okay. And Matt, I'll let you play the video.
Yeah. Let's take a look at this. It's 23 seconds. Here it is.
Fist, not an object. I was wrong. That was his fist. A camera in his other hand.
They're fucking scared.
Yep. My understanding is they did have a U-Haul. In their tradition, they had a U-Haul in the parking lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you guys, a lot of you have probably seen them. They've showed up around the country. I am assuming that they probably showed up because they saw our protest plan, because it was advertised. We had a permit. It wasn't a secret. No, invite anybody from New Hampshire. Come on down. These guys, most of them, not from New Hampshire. They're not from New Hampshire. Some of them are from Florida. They come from all over the place. One dude, the founder guy, if I'm not mistaken, is from Maine.
Okay.
So unfortunately, he is a New England dude. But that's the bald guy you see in the videos who isn't wearing the mask. He's the only one really who isn't wearing a mask. The rest of them, cowards, covered head to toe, so you can't figure out what they are or who they are.
Yeah.
And they were Heil Hitling, like they did that shit in front of our state house. And we didn't physically attack them. We didn't try and physically stop them. We tried to silence them with our own voices. And that's why we need more people to come out when we do these events and show up in force and make our voices louder.
Right. It's such a waste of life, you know, to even engage in hate, because the thing that I always say is, you know, you can put, you know, you can hate people, and there's varying degrees of hate and ignorance and racism and so forth. But when you take it to a degree where, I mean, and it's all bad, all racism and bigotry and any kind of prejudice is bad. But when you take it to a degree where you're actually putting time and effort and energy and organization into it, Jenny just disappeared from the stream. But when you put time and energy and effort into it, it's you're wasting your life on this stuff. Because here's the thing: you can hate people all you want, you can wish that we lived in some sort of you know, fantasy land ethno state that you have in your mind or whatever it is, but someday you're going to die. And when you die, all the people that you hate so much, whether they're black or brown or gay or trans or whomever is the target of your hatred, at the end of it all, when you're dead and gone, they'll still be here. All the people you don't like will still be here. The white ethno state that you fantasize about will never exist. It can't. You're just wasting, if this is what you're spending your life doing, putting your energy into this, you're just wasting your life. Because someday you're going to be dead and gone, and all the people you hate will still be here, and you will have accomplished precisely nothing. So, you know, it doesn't, you know, call me a woke liberal or whatever you want to call me, but I think you're wasting your time. I think you're wasting your life on this stuff. So that's my view of it. So I'm not sure what, I think Jenny is rejoining us here. Hello, everything all right?
Was trying to check the chat messages, accidentally goofed.
I gotcha. Brian Mackey commented on Facebook. He said, scared to show their faces and only a handful, not much of a movement left, I guess. Well, but they do feel emboldened. I mean, I can't, you know, I say this a lot.
There's more of them than you think.
Yeah, clearly. I can't remember anything like this happening when I was a kid, where, you know, they feel so emboldened as to just go out and openly do this stuff. And, you know, the political climate in the country is, like I said, a lot of people think racism is cool again, and they're all in, you know, and it's really, you know, in some ways we've come so far, and yet in some ways we also seem to be going backward rapidly.
I feel like we're going backward a lot lately. Yeah. These guys are basically KKK with black hoods instead of white ones. Yeah. That's the only difference. They're just another version of that. And we as a society in America had progressed beyond that. I thought that kind of behavior wasn't acceptable in the streets, because there was a time when the KKK marched proudly down the street in DC. Yes. And there was a time when that was widely accepted and it was okay to be racist. And we supposedly were beating that in America, but now we're going backwards. Now we're seeing it. Not only is it's becoming popular, you know, to be a racist. It's so acceptable. You can turn on YouTube and find any number of videos that people have taken out in public and find somebody saying things that you would never even say behind a closed door. You know, and that's what scares me to a point. But I like to believe that there's more of us than there are of them. Yeah. And the more of us that empower each other and become more active and activated, then we can start to, because we can't let this win, right? This just happened in Concord, New Hampshire. They marched down the street and assaulted somebody on the sidewalk in Main Street, USA. Yeah. And then jumped in their U-Haul. Yeah. Like, I feel like everybody in New Hampshire should be standing up right now and getting together and joining together and saying, not in our state. Right. But unfortunately, like you said earlier, I've been met by some folks who want to attack me for pointing this out.
Right. Yeah. They're very concerned about the First Amendment rights of the Nazis. Couldn't give a shit about your First Amendment right. Didn't care
How
at
dare
all.
I point out
Yeah.
the hate?
Yeah.
How dare I video the hate?
Yeah. We see you. The
Yeah.
people, the Nazi defenders, we see you.
We
We
know
understand
you.
why you leave out the part where you say, by the way, Jenny, I also stand for your First Amendment right. You leave that part
No,
out.
no, no,
We
no.
see you.
Only when it agrees with them. Then I can have my First Amendment rights. See, that's why you're not really the true believer that you think you are.
Yeah.
It's when you can stand in front of a Nazi like I did and not go in the wrong direction, but instead use your own liberties to protect the people around you and yourself. So
Mhm.
I'd say join me. Maybe
Yep.
you need to question what side you're on.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, should we put a button on this one? This is kind of the first.
Yeah. Yes, it
I'm-
is.
I'm
You have
anxious to
think
get
of my
this one out into the
technical goofies.
out.
Sorry for my technical goofs.
That's okay. No, that's all right. But no, I'm anxious to get this one onto the podcast platforms and for people who, especially for people who don't know what happened.
I'll close by saying thank you to everybody who came out yesterday and joined us all across New Hampshire. There were multiple locations of protests going on. I was privileged to join those in Concord, and I hope to see you at the next one.
All right. Very good. And of course, you can find Matt Connarton Unleashed. Go to mattconnerton.com/unleashed for all the get access to the full archive of the show. You can hear the radio edition Saturday mornings from 9 a.m. to noon. We broadcast from WMNH 95.3 FM. The MCUAF version of the show has no direct affiliation with WMNH at all. This is purely separate from that and is strictly online, just so there's no confusion or misunderstanding. Because confusion and misunderstandings have caused me problems in the past, so we don't want any of that.
No. This is the adult off-air version, not FCC compliant.
Correct. This has no affiliation with WMNH, this version of the show. So thank you all for joining us. MattConnerton.com is my website. And Jenny, your website?
JenCoffee.com, JenCoffey.com. Come check out what kind of good trouble I'm getting in today.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you all a little bit later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.